Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Jaime Wash Process Colombia from Coffee Collective. And there's the bag right there. Right, and Coffee Collective based out of Copenhagen in Denmark, and I'm going to start with something a little different in this video. So the descriptors on this coffee is it is a super sweet coffee. Well, this is what I read on their website. Super sweet coffee, pretty floral with some grape and stone fruit aromas. And that's what I Google translated on the bag when I was looking at this bag, and that's what I thought I was getting. And then I watched their Instagram video where they said that this is a more traditional coffee for an everyday coffee drinker, which is much more in line with what I got. So I'm going to operate under the guise that I got this coffee right, even if it's very far from the way this coffee was actually described to me. All right, with that out of the way, let me discuss real quick my experience with Coffee Collective, because I do have quite a bit of familiarity with them. I have one review of their coffee already up on this channel and one more coming up, which is a very special coffee. I'm very excited to discuss that one. And I have been fortunate enough to cup their coffee and tried quite a few of their coffees before, so they're one of the European coffee roasters I have a little bit more familiarity with. They've just always been a little trickier for me. All right, let me get the details out of the way. This right here is day 19 of this coffee. I do have a brew guide on their website, so that's what I used, 15.625 to 1 water to coffee ratio. At 203 degrees Fahrenheit, they suggest between 197 to 203 degrees Fahrenheit, although they suggested in Celsius, that's just the conversion. Brewed through the Chemex, of course. And while Coffee Collective as a whole is on the lighter Nordic roast profile, they themselves said that this was one of their more dark coffees, so we'll call this a slight medium Nordic roast profile for this coffee. All right, with that out of the way, let's start discussing this coffee. And with European coffees, you don't want to drink them too early, but I always try anyway. Day 8, tried it, definitely too early to be drinking it. All I got was a slight bit of chocolate. Day 15, much more of a dark chocolate coffee with some subtle fruits, maybe some very slight berry. Day 16, very tame and traditional coffee still, notable dark chocolate, and I kind of noted that in the warmer temperatures, you get these subtle fruits. As it cools down, it becomes a very dark chocolate coffee with a very lasting finish. Day 17, a bit of saltiness, bit of smokiness, continuing with the dark chocolate trend, very lasting dark chocolate finish. And then day 18, when I kind of sat down and said, how would I describe this coffee to somebody? A very nice dark chocolate bar that has those, fruit components to it, maybe a slight bit of citrus, maybe a slight bit of grape, maybe a slight bit of stone fruit, as described on the coffee. But for the most part, I have a very hard time when I eat a dark chocolate bar or something, it just tastes like dark chocolate to me, and I have a very hard time picking out the notes. And I think that's the perfect way to describe this coffee. There are things in this coffee, but it's so dark chocolate heavy that that's all I get, and it's hard for me to kind of pick out those other things when my mind just keeps focusing on the dark chocolate component of this coffee. All right, let me go ahead and put up the tasting wheel so you can see what it's getting. And with no surprise, the finish and the chocolate are the highest things, the things that jump out on this tasting wheel, because I've been harping on that since the start of this video. I'm not happy with the way that this tasting wheel looks, because I kind of feel, even though I sat down and really focused hard on trying to get this one right, a lot of these things I put it at 2 because, yeah, there's a slight bit of savoriness, slight bit of smokiness, slight bit of caramel, a slight bit of berry fruit. Like, all these things had a very slight bit of them, not enough to put them at a 3, and not low enough to put them at a 1. Even the spice, I could have probably put it at a 2, but I'm like, this is the one thing that isn't as slightly prominent as the other things on this tasting wheel. So I kind of feel like I got this coffee right. I feel like this is what they were going for. Again, they said that this was more for an everyday coffee drinker, which washed Colombias as a whole tend to be more for the everyday coffee drinker. And that makes it a very easy recommendation on who I would recommend this coffee to is people that like the lighter roast profile, but is still an everyday traditional coffee drinker, because this is a very chocolate coffee. Especially if you like dark chocolate, this is a perfect coffee for you. And this doesn't change much about how I feel about Coffee Collective. I can't help shake the feeling that they're either way more complex than I understand, or they're way more straightforward than I am thinking, because I either got this coffee 100% right or 100% wrong, and I feel like I got this one right. I'm gonna keep saying that I feel like I got this one right. But I'm going to leave it at that. If you've by chance tried this Jaime, then please let me know your thoughts and opinions of it, as well as Coffee Collective. And again, I do have one more Coffee Collective video coming up, and I already know that that one's going to be a huge shift from this one right here, so stay tuned for that one. If you're enjoying the content, give this video a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But this right here has been a review of the Jaime Wash Process Colombia from Coffee Collective. Thank you for watching.